Hi, are you sick and tired of paying hundreds of dollars a month for cable or dish? GNR TV is your answer. These guys have an incredible 100% legal product that is a cord cutter's dream. For as low as $25 a month, you will get over 400 HD channels, including all major sports packages, pay per views, premium movies, and entertainment. To get started, all you need is a streaming device, such as an Amazon Fire Stick, internet, and a desire to save a ton of cash. No contracts, no credit checks, no hidden fees. I myself have been a subscriber, and I must say this service is amazing. To learn more, search GNR TV on Facebook or Instagram, and I will also be posting a link on my pages to check out on my podcast website. Lastly, for first-time subscribers, use promo code SIR30 to save $5 for your first month. GNR TV, streaming done right.
Let's get slicing and dicing with Sir Sturdy horror fans. On this podcast, you will hear me and a guest do some movie reviews, random funny horror chats, and whatever else comes to mind. So tune in, kick back, relax, and always remember, I'll see you in your nightmares.
Well, just Jason's mask.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another awesome, exciting episode of Horror with Sir Sturdy. Today I have my guest, Thad. Thad, how's it going, man?
Doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. And before we even let the people know what movie we're going to review today, I want to ask you a couple questions. First,
Sure.
who or what got you into horror? And then, what's the first movie you remember seeing that scared you as a kid?
I kind of stumbled into horror myself. I was always fascinated to go to the video store and look at all the scary covers. I was kind of terrified of them, but I was intrigued at the same time. And no one in my family, I mean, they like scary movies, but I hadn't really been exposed to them. And a lot of times when my mom would fall asleep, there'd be a scary film on TV, and that's where I kind of started watching when I wasn't really supposed to. And Halloween was pretty much the first one I watched, late at night as a young kid in the dark on the couch and watching this mass killer, and still remains my all-time favorite. But that was the first one that I saw that I remember seeing that scared me.
Okay. Halloween, that's another really good slasher film.
Yeah.
Another good franchise. What's funny about the slasher franchises, especially I'll say the big three, which is Jason, Michael, and Freddy, is you have the movies that seem like they're done so well, and then you have the ones in those same franchise that are just like, they could have really did without this one, but you'll still watch them, you'll still enjoy them, every single one of them. It's Halloween Resurrection is probably one of the worst ones that I've seen. But I would still probably watch. I don't watch it as often as I watch the other ones, but I would still watch it. I'll say that one and Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie remake, are my worst.
Gotcha.
The worst two in my opinion. Friday the 13th, I'll have to say it's Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell were my least favorites. Just
Right.
I don't know. I enjoy them, awesome kills and all that, but and I'll even throw in Jason Takes Manhattan. Again, awesome kills, but it wasn't what you expected. I mean, as far as I know, I seen him when I was a kid, but I'm like, okay, everyone's at camp, and now he's in New York, which you realize later on in life that he's really in Canada. But as a kid, you don't know that. You think, yeah, he's in the city, cool. But I mean,
and he rode there on a cruise ship from the lake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. Yeah. No, I hear you. I think there's just something about seeing those characters on screen again. Every Jason film up until Kane Hodder, there was a different person playing, but nobody really cared because it was Jason again. And what's he going to do? And how are these people going to get killed? And I think maybe they just ran out of some ideas or maybe budgets or I don't know. The ratings board hacked those movies to shit back in the day. So who knows what the reasons were. I agree with you on all accounts. Resurrection, I really don't like that movie at all. But if I compare it to other movies, I'm like, well, this movie still has Michael Myers in it. And
True.
I will watch it for Michael Myers and
Very true.
for the people that he's going to kill and how he's going to off them. So I'm right on board with you on that.
Oh, that's see, and then seeing as how you brought that up, you can go right to Halloween 3, which did not have Michael Myers in it. And like, I remember watching this movie as a kid. You know, we'd go to the video store, rent movies, candy, food, pizza, you know, all that good stuff. Maybe a game or two. We always get horror movies, and we wanted to do the Halloween franchise, so we'd get like 1 and 2 at one time, and 3, 4. You get to Halloween
Yeah.
3, like, where the hell is Michael? What is this movie? Sucks.
Yeah.
I didn't really start liking that movie until maybe 6 or 7 years ago, maybe a little bit more, as far as getting into Facebook, getting into these horror groups, and people are just like, listen, when you rewatch this movie, watch it as a standalone film, and you'll get a whole different feel for it. So I did that.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And I also learned that with the Halloween franchise, they wanted to make a different type of movie every year, a different type of horror movie every year, different
Right.
story or whatever. But I guess Halloween 3 didn't do so hot, so they brought Michael Myers back, which is great because you have that icon now. But
Right.
it's just, I do like that idea, and I would still love to see somebody come out with not necessarily the Halloween title, but a horror movie that has the same name, so to speak, and comes out and it's like a different story every single year it comes out, or every couple of years that it comes out.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really good idea.
I think it was a great idea, and you know, they just happened to create an icon in the making. And so, also, Halloween 3 suffered from when they marketed it and showed the trailers and stuff. I mean, you thought it was gonna be another Michael Myers type of film, you know, and then you watched it, and it was like he's on a commercial, and you
Yeah.
realize, oh, so Halloween was just a movie, and what the hell is this? And you know, that was one of the movies that was on, I remember as a child seeing on television, cable all the time. Like, they would show the first 3 Halloweens and, of course, several of the Fridays. And, you know, I wanted Michael Myers, but I always watched Season of the Witch when it came on. And I love it now, just like you.
Yep.
You know, I don't know, for a while there, I'm sure I was like, well, this shouldn't even be in the series and blah, blah, blah. But when I got a little older and watched it again, I thought, you know, as a standalone movie, this is pretty cool. And, of course, it's got Tom Atkins in it, who's just he's an icon, too, in his own right. So, I don't know. I love it. That's one of my favorite Halloweens, and it really has nothing to do with the rest of the series.
At all.
Yeah.
I mean, you can throw Friday the 13th Part 5 in there, where there's just a different guy playing, I guess you can say playing Jason, but not Jason at the same time with Roy.
Yes.
But at least they kept the mask. They kept it kind of close to the story.
Right.
So it kind of made sense. And it was cool. I actually liked that one a lot. I did a countdown, I think last year now.
Uh-huh.
We did a countdown, and that was like in the middle of my countdown. A lot of people, that's on like, low on their list, but I'm like, it's really, if you really watch it, it's not a bad movie at all. Jason's just not in it. They have a copycat killer, which, cool idea.
And I think I think that one's starting to get the recognition and status that I think it's worthy of. Kind of like Halloween 3,
Yep.
more and more people are starting to see it as a standalone piece, you know. I mean, in my opinion, it was way better than Jason Goes to Hell. You know, we didn't see him really much in that one either.
Yep.
I still like Jason Goes to Hell, but you know, Friday the 13th Part 5, up until you find out that that's not really Jason, felt like a Friday the 13th movie. And the
It really
kills
did.
were crazy, the suspense, the music, the rain, all that type of stuff. It felt like a Friday movie to me, and had some great kills in it. And if I'm not mistaken, it had the highest body count, or at least when it came out, it was the highest body count of the series. So
That's interesting. There was a big body count, though, huge body count in that movie.
yeah, people are getting off left and right.
Yeah, which was
I
fun.
would love to see an uncut version of that. They say that one doesn't exist, but man, I can just imagine.
I would love to see an uncut version of Part 7, because they toned it down so much, and it's still a great movie, but it would have been so much better if they didn't tone it down at the time. But I guess those times they would have to rate it X instead of R, which seems weird to me, because when I think of rated X movie, I don't think of a horror movie at all.
Right.
But
Right.
or blood.
Exactly. That always confused me too. I remember them saying that about RoboCop. They're like, this movie was almost rated X. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I guess there's an X rating for violence. Well, I mean, Evil Dead had an NC-17 rating, but I don't know. I think Friday the 13th was just the poster child for everything that was wrong with the youth of America. It seemed like that was the franchise that got picked on the worst,
Mm-hmm.
and probably because it was making so much damn money. I
Yeah.
mean, one of the films we're going to be talking about, knocked E.T. out of the #1 spot when it hit theaters. So I think people were mad.
I
Here
think
comes this slasher film, and it's blowing out these family movies. I don't know.
that's a good way to jump right into it. So the movie we're about to discuss is Friday the 13th Part 3, which is my now second favorite in the series. It was my first for a while until last October. I got to be on a panel with now I can't remember their names at all. I'm sorry. Lara Park Lincoln. She played
Yes.
Tina. The guy who played he played in Weekend at Bernie's. Terry Kaiser, I believe.
Yes,
And the third
Dr.
name,
Cruz.
Dr. Cruz, yes. The third name that I cannot remember. He wore the jean jacket. The jean jacket suit, the jacket and the jeans through the whole movie. He was he helped Tina out a lot through the whole movie. I want to
Was he
say
kind of the boyfriend
something like
or
that.
or the love interest?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. He was in the cabin next door with his friends partying and all that, but he was he was the only one that was like real nice to her, the nicest one to her.
When Nick was
Was his name Nick?
Nick was his character, right? I don't remember his name though.
I think his
remember
real
who
name is
played him.
Kevin something. I could be wrong. But anyway, I got to be on a panel with those three, and it was so freaking fun.
Oh, I bet.
Nice. All three of them are nice. All three of them are funny. It was a great time. And like I said, 3 and 7, those were my top two at the time. 7 was my second one. 3, I made it #1 mainly because the mask, the iconic mask, comes into play. But after
Right.
sitting on that panel, and I'm just like 7, and Kane Hodder, that's when he's first introduced, and I feel like he's my favorite Jason. And it's just, this is one of those lists for me though. I've said it when I was doing the countdown. I've said it before that this list can switch anytime, any moment. Just
Right.
with the top 2 or 3 movies, it can just switch. Okay, this is my favorite now, but I guess that's how it goes with these movies.
It is, and it's all about the experience too. And I mean, I imagine getting to sit on a panel and learning more about it from the people that were a part of it just kind of opens your mind to a lot of, here's some insight into how it went and what happened, what they were dealing with, and that's a cool moment, man.
Oh,
that's awesome.
I think the only thing that would have made that moment better is if Kane Hodder was there. I don't know. I don't know if I would have been able to compose myself real well. But it was just so cool, and just hearing everything that they went through, and I mean, you watch the movie, all the stunts Kane he does all of his own stunts, all the stuff that he put his body through for that movie to make it that great was just, I'm like, that's impressive.
Right, it is. I don't think that one gets enough love because I look at it as one of the best ones as well. It was a really cool premise, and I mean, it had some iconic moments in it.
Mm-hmm.
It had Kane's introduction for one. A lot of people say that was the best look of Jason.
Yes.
And then you've got the sleeping bag scene. I mean,
Yep.
That movie's chocked full of iconic Friday the 13th moments. And but people, I don't know, people don't seem to talk about it as much as I think they should.
I think with it, well, they love, a lot of people love 4 and 6.
Right.
And then I feel like with 7, because they had to tone it down so much with the blood and gore, I think that right there might have turned a lot of. They still like the movie, but I think that turned fans off. If that was as gory as it was supposed to be, I feel like that would be the cult favorite, or at least second favorite, not 4 or 6, which those are both great too.
Right. They're all so good. I mean, it's hard to, especially 1 through 7. I look at 1 through 7 as just like you said, I could easily switch from one to another within the first 7.
Mm-hmm.
I always come back to part 3 though, and that may be because it was my intro. It was the first time I ever saw Jason. That was the first time I ever saw a Friday the 13th movie, and I believe that's what came after I saw the first Halloween. I know I caught Friday the 13th late at night on TV. It was the 2D version, so I hadn't even gone into the 3D world with it yet, but it scared the hell out of me.
I honestly don't even know which Friday the 13th movie I've seen first. I feel like it was either 3 or 7, honestly. 3, 7, or 5. And I only say that because I remember as a kid, Friday the 13th, that whole weekend, they played these movies back to back to back to back to back.
Uh-huh.
And those are like the main three. I know they played more than just those three, but those are like the main three they played. And that's a big reason why Jason's my favorite slasher, because I just got so used to seeing it all the time. Like, well, this is cool.
Right. Right. I agree. I mean, he's the badass of horror. I mean, no motivation other than to just kill. And he's big, daunting. I mean, he's just intimidating. And I think that's where, I love Freddy and I love Michael Myers, of course, but they're all very different characters. And Jason seems to be the most ruthless, in my opinion. And, and you knew it was just going to be a bloodbath. I mean, that's pretty much the entire point of the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's so brutal, and he does it like he doesn't do it to torture. Like he just wants to kill you and get it over and get to the next person. Freddy likes to play the whole cat and mouse game. Michael just has one objective, just pretty much kill. Well, it depends on which story you go with. Laurie Strode is his target, pretty much.
Right.
He kills everybody that gets in the way, but Laurie Strode's like his target. Jason, his target is whoever goes to that camp, and Freddy, pretty much Elm Street.
Yeah, exactly.
But he toys with them all the time, which is hilarious.
It is. Great dynamic. And then we got to put them together like on your T-shirt there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got this for, I think, Walmart.
Really?
Yeah.
Horror is spreading again. I love it.
Yeah, I had it for like a year or two now, but around Halloween, Walmart gets a lot of good horror shirts like these, and they're only like $8 if you go to the store and buy them. If you try to buy them online, they're like $25. I mean, what?
Oh, God.
I'm not paying that much if I can get it from your same store for $8.
No kidding. I remember a time when Walmart wouldn't even carry these films because they weren't family approved. Like Walmart wouldn't carry certain music. They wouldn't carry Friday the 13th films, that type of stuff. And it's funny now to walk in and it's like a trend. They've got the dolls, they've got the toys, they've got the shirts. I mean, it's crazy.
Money talks, though. Money talks. Yeah. It's like, hey, hang on a second. We can make a whole bunch more money off these people if we just sell these things. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. They've realized the horror community will buy anything they see that they like that resembles their favorite character. Yes, we will.
And doubles and triples of certain things just because it's a different case or something, which it's ridiculous, but we do it.
Oh, there's an extra 5-minute documentary on here. It's 5 minutes longer than the one I already have. I've got to buy this $25 Blu-ray.
And this case is different than this case, so I got to buy them both.
Right?
Nothing's different about the movie. And the funny
this
thing
one has a steel box.
I love collecting movies and stuff, but I really don't look at my cases that much when I buy them. I have them put away somewhere for a movie, watch the movie. I mean, a lot of the movies on streaming apps now anyway, so I can just stream them. But I still love to own the hard copy of the movie. I just don't know why we have so many of the same one.
Yeah, I know. Well, they keep upgrading on us. It's like, oh, okay, we got DVD, and then Blu-ray came out. Oh, and the picture's higher, and now 4K is out. And they're releasing a lot of these old classic horror movies that they're releasing on 4K are like $15, so they're as much as the Blu-ray anyway. And it's kind of like, I want to watch this on 4K. I just got the TV. I should go ahead and buy the disc too.
Yep, that's
drives my wife crazy. She's so supportive, but she's like, "Don't you have this movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. But it's going to look a little bit better in this one."
Yeah, my wife, she's a big horror fan. She freaking loves it. But as far as like the 4K, the HD, she doesn't really see a difference or hear a difference. I'm like, look, there's a difference. There's a difference in the quality of these. This is why I buy. I mean, I don't have 4K right now, but this is why I buy Blu-ray. When I buy movies, I try not to buy DVDs at all unless it's my only option. And she's like, I don't see a difference. Like, okay, it's fine. I still love her.
Well, we started out watching these on VHS. A lot of these films, I realized once we got to Blu-ray, there's a whole bunch of shit that I didn't see, like in the background and stuff, because it was so dark that I couldn't see a lot of what was going on. And now it's like, holy crap, yeah. We studied these movies, so we can see the difference.
I will say the one thing I do miss about the VHS, I know you're talking about the clarity with the Blu-ray. I miss the kind of grainy look with the VHS because sometimes you feel like it makes it kind of a little scarier in a sense, just because it's so dark and gritty. But I also love the crystal clear look of a Blu-ray movie. I'm like, wow.
Absolutely. Well, that's why we have to have all formats.
Makes sense.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one I always think about that looks best on a VHS because it was just such a gritty dirty, uneasy movie to begin with, and then polished up. It still looks great, but it is a different feel. I get you on that.
That's another movie right there that I believe was supposed to be rated X. That's why there's not a lot of blood and there's like not many on-screen kills, if any, in the original. I think that movie's actually PG-13, believe it or not.
Wow. Yeah, and Toby Hooper wanted it to be a PG rated film.
Which is, I don't know how you get away with that.
Just the name alone. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
You could take your kids to see that. Nowadays you would, but back then, hell no.
Oh no. Just imagine that though. Go, hey, let's go see Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Kids, it's a kids movie. It's PG.
Yeah, we'll go watch that on Christmas after Sunday dinner.
I mean, I would love to go do that, but you know.
I'm on board. Yeah, my kids would be too, probably, but.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I guess we can dive into this movie now. So.
All right.
What did you feel about this movie? Like, what draws you to this movie so much? Friday the 13th, Part 3.
Well, again, it was my intro to the series and the character of Jason. But beyond that, I feel it's just kind of the most straightforward slasher film of the series. I mean, it really seemed like these people just showed up for a good weekend, and he was there, and immediately there was really no big connection back to Part 1 or Part 2. I know they tried to tie in a connection with Dana Kimmel's character, Chris, and having crossed paths with Jason prior to this film, but it really just seemed like that's all that was going on. They were just being stalked, and I thought it was scary because there wasn't a lot of explanation as to who he was or what was going on. I don't think Jason was synonymous yet, because the events in this movie were supposed to, this movie was supposed to begin the day after Part 2. And I don't know. He put on that hockey mask, and what really scared me in this film was the end scene where she looks up out of the boat and sees him peering through the window at her, and the mask is off, and he comes running out, and that just, when I was a kid, that scared the hell out of me, and it's still a pretty creepy and effective scene, I think. Yeah, he didn't quite look like a monster yet, but he just looked terrifying, and he was running, and I don't know. So it's just one I always kept coming back to. It was on a lot when I was a kid. So like you said earlier, I saw it a lot. It just became kind of a matter of routine, and it's definitely one of the ones that I revisit the most.
I like that. I like that answer. You know what I just thought? You just brought it up, how it's supposed to follow the events of Part 2, and it's the day after. It's supposed to be the day after, right? Or is it?
It's supposed to start the day after. Now they say, all this happens the next day, but technically, if you watch the film, it's actually most events happen on like Sunday the 15th.
That's what I'm saying.
Because there's the beginning of the film that happens the day after, because they're watching the newscast. This happened, and then the kids come, and then they're there for a night, and so a lot of the mayhem apparently occurs on Sunday the 15th. But same weekend, Yeah. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. I think about that with these movies because they have, was it the first 3 or 4? Well, you can't say 1, but between 2 and 4, I believe, they always have the flashbacks of the movie previous. I'm like, okay, so is this happening the day after? And then you guys are just going right back. You guys are just going right back to where all this stuff happened.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But for me, what really drew me to this, besides the iconic mask, is it's so brutal. And like you're saying, you don't really know too much about Jason. He's stalking them a lot. And he really doesn't care at all. He just wants to kill. You don't know why he wants to kill. He just wants to kill these people that keep coming to this damn camp. And I love how, like, when the biker scene, I love how when they came, they did their little thing, and they had like a little story for them. Like, they weren't just at the one, because they could have ended that story with the bikers at the store when Shelby knocks the bikes over, the guy punches the window. That could have been it, but they had them come to the camp, siphon the gas, which you see later in the movie actually has a huge effect. I love how they kept that in the movie, how they pay attention, because there's some movies where something crazy will happen, and all of a sudden, say somebody will siphon somebody's gas, or pop a tire, then all of a sudden that person gets in that same car later on. There's nothing wrong with it. They just drive off. But
Yeah, exactly.
they make you think like, okay, she's gonna get away, and then the van runs out of gas. I'm like, oh,
Exactly.
that's.
And
I love how the attention to detail with that.
exactly. And a lot of times people fault these movies. I've heard it on this one often. There's some continuity issues here, but then there's a lot of these little pieces that people aren't picking up on, like the gas. When they first get to the actual cabin, Steve Miner showed a shot of the bridge that they drive across, and you see how loose those boards are and how kind of unstable that bridge is. And so when the van gets stuck on there because it runs out of gas, the next thing that happens is one of the tires falls through the board. And again, that was more like, an hour ago he showed us how rickety this little bridge was, and it just a quick little shot. Now it's all making sense.
Exactly. And when they drove over with the car, you kind of heard it rattling, both when they came back and forth from the store.
Exactly.
Just small things like that help a movie so much. You don't really notice it. I guess you don't really pay attention to it as much as a kid. As a kid, I'm just watching it for the kills and the boobs. As an adult, I'm watching it for the kills, the boobs, and the detail.
Exactly. Which this one didn't have any, but it did have a lot of great kills.
Oh, it had some really good kills.
I did wonder, watching it again recently, though, when they come and they siphon that gas, man, they've got like, how many giant canisters of gasoline are they carrying? Like, how much gas can that van hold? Because
I know.
You can't open the barn. He's got these like huge gas.
Yeah, like 3 of them, I believe. I'm just like, what the hell?
They've all got them. That made me laugh. But yeah, the rest of it. I mean, again, I think Jason, he wasn't really an icon yet. It was, he got the mask, and they don't even refer to him as Jason in this movie, like except in the beginning when they're showing clips from part 2. Like the kids at the camp didn't know who the hell he was. They didn't really know the story of Jason. Most of the ones after this go into the story of Jason did this and the legend behind this. But in part 3, it's just these kids that show up and have no idea that there's anything wrong, other than Chris's little backstory, I guess. But
that's true.
I thought that was pretty interesting. And they wanted to take it in a different direction at first. They wanted Amy Steele to come back from part 2 and be in a mental hospital, and Jason track her down and come after her then, which feels kind of more like a Michael Myers type of thing to me, rather than just a Jason. You've stumbled into Jason's turf, and now you're going to pay for it. I don't know if him pursuing somebody would have actually. I don't know how that would have worked out. Although I love Amy Steele.
He only did it in part 2, if you think about it, when in the beginning, because the lady that killed his mother, he went back and killed her. Yeah. I'm wondering, I think about that now that you brought that up. I wonder how far away from the camp she lived, because Jason doesn't just travel. And he doesn't, he was just walking along, and he found out where she lived. I don't know how, I don't know where he got this information from or who gave him the information. And he went and he ended up, he ends up killing her, which was a cool kill. And all
Very
that.
much so.
But I do love how, for the most part, they keep Jason at the camp, and he's just like, look, whoever's at this camp is who I'm hunting. That's it. I don't leave this campground. I don't care about anything else. Just don't come here where I drown.
Yeah.
Leave this place alone.
Do you think that part, back in the beginning of part 2, where he goes in and kills her at the beginning, do you think that is what started the trend of main characters from one movie getting killed off immediately in the following movie? Because it seemed like for a while every horror movie franchise that came out, if you survived this one, you were getting killed off in the next one.
That might have done it, and I'm not mad at it at all. I like. See, one thing I do like about the Friday the 13th franchise, what they did with the first few movies too, what you're just saying, how they kill off that character, but how they have the flashback scenes. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't watched the movie in a while, you kind of get a quick refresher, and then it goes into the movie. I wish that more horror franchises would have done that, and I wish they would start doing it now and kind of stick with it, just so you can kind of get a little refresher of the last movie you watched, and then you're like, okay, cool, good. This is how that one ended. Now this is how this one's gonna start. Cool.
Yeah, I think so. I think Friday the 13th really started a lot of trends. I know they say, oh, well, it was just a ripoff of Halloween, and Halloween was just a ripoff of Black Christmas, and but I think all of these films really, took an idea and became their own. I mean, that's why they're all so individually iconic.
Exactly.
So I hate when people are hating on one over the other, because I'm like, these are just all great. They're all fun to watch, and don't hate on it because we want more to be made.
Yes, and I wish they would that legal crap in court. I wish they would get that settled. I understand it though. I feel like
Right.
whoever needs to be paid needs to be paid. I can't be mad at that because I got to put myself in that situation. If I'm in that situation, like, look, man, I need to be paid too. Let's just figure
Right.
this out. But it sucks
And
as
you know
fans.
there's money to be had.
Oh yeah, a lot
Whatever
of
you
money.
can pay, just go release another Friday the 13th movie. You're going to get that money back. Like
Quick.
you are from DVD sales, from conventions, from toys. I mean,
A theatrical release.
yeah.
All of us horror fans, if they said right now, okay, the legal battle's over with, they plan on making 13 more movies, we're gonna go watch all those damn movies.
We are. We're going to be there dressed up, and we're going to. A lot of us will go back and see them several times.
Yes.
And then
we
we'll
will.
buy the Blu-ray and the 4K and the Arrow version and the Scream Team. You know, I mean, like we will just go down the list and buy every version of it.
And
on film,
not
so-
only would we do that, but we would start with the. So I'm just using Friday the 13th as an example. The original Friday the 13th. We'll start from that one. Watch that whole series up to Freddy vs. Jason,
Yeah.
the 2009 version, and then watch the whole new thing.
Yep.
Like within
We
2
will.
weeks. So they gotta, they gotta make that happen for us.
They do.
And I wish they would. I wish they would let Kane Hodder play Jason and Freddy vs. Jason because they did him dirty. No, and no disrespect to the gentleman who did play Jason. I felt like he did a good job, but
Right.
everybody wanted to see Kane Hodder versus Robert.
That just blows me away. And I watched Kane Hodder's documentary video recently where he was talking about that and how he felt just really, really hurt by it. Because, I mean, you got Robert Englund, okay? So you've got the original iconic Freddy. And why not have the Jason that everybody knows and loves and
Exactly.
was still very physically capable of doing? I mean, he was great. He was part 10. I mean, Jason X in space was kind of silly
It
in
was.
parts, but it's fun because Kane Hodder's killing people. And I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand why they feel like they need to go a different route. I hate when people get involved with these films who have, you see on the documentary, well, I'd never watched any of these films in the series,
Oh,
and I've
see.
never, and I'm like, why not get somebody that's a fan? I think that's why the last Halloween was very successful and overall well received by fans because it was actually made by people who are fans of the series and know the characters and know the stories. And I think sometimes they're just like, well, I want my movie to be something new and different. And I can respect that for the artists out there, but come on. I mean, you got an iconic person you can put in
Yes.
there.
Hey, I see now. I look at it like, if you want to make that big of a change to a movie, just make your own movie, make your own
Right.
new villain, or whatever, and go from there. Or do, which
Right.
there's nothing wrong with doing this, especially because you see it a lot nowadays. The fan-made films, I freaking love those. Never Hike Alone was freaking amazing, and I love. Did you see Never Hike Alone?
I did not.
Oh, I don't want.
I need to watch those. I just started kind of catching wind in our horror group about so many of these different Friday the 13th fan films that are coming out, and that's the one that pops up the most. I need to see about getting my hands on that.
It's actually on when they released it at first, it's on YouTube for free. Like they put it out there on YouTube for free to watch.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a Never Hike Alone group. I can't think of the exact Facebook group, but there's a way you can buy, like you can get the Blu-ray still. You have to send them an email, I believe. They have like a long list.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're still selling Blu-rays for it, and I'm sure they're gonna start like a Kickstarter Indiegogo because they want to do Never Hike Alone 2, and I'm sure they'll have Never Hike Alone 2 and probably Never Hike Alone 1 merch in there for you. So
Oh, okay.
it's definitely something cool to check out. But that movie was done. I'm not even gonna spoil it for you because you didn't see it. But the cinematography was great. The movie was great. The guy who played Jason did great, and it's a really fun movie.
That's awesome. See, fans are going to make the films anyway, so
Oh yeah.
they may as well get on board and give us some more Jason.
I would love to see these fan made films, like Never Hike Alone, for example. I would love to see the guys who made that be able to be on a big production to do a Friday the 13th franchise. Even if they couldn't do a whole franchise, just one film, because they're true fans of the movie. They really love the series. Why not let somebody like them do it and just give them the budget they need?
That's exactly right. I don't know why studios. I guess they want to have all the control and say so, but I don't know why they don't listen to the audience that's going to be paying for this. I mean,
Exactly.
because you see what happens with the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. You can make the fans happy or you can piss them off, and it's going to affect you negatively. Like, just because you're putting a character on there doesn't necessarily mean the entire audience is going to be on board with it. If you involve the people that know and love this type of stuff, as you mentioned, who have skill, they're making films, they just don't have a budget.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that would be an amazing thing to see.
But yeah, definitely, that's my homework for you. Check out Never Hike Alone. You're gonna enjoy it. You're definitely gonna enjoy it. And like I said, it's right on YouTube, free, and it's not anything that somebody put on there. They did it themselves. They put it on there. Excellent movie. I actually had his name is Vincent DeSante. I had him on. He played Jason in the movie. I forgot his last name, Andrew something. I'm gonna have him on eventually. He played like the main character in the movie, so it was fun though.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out.
And with part 3 again.
Yeah.
What was your favorite kill?
That's so tough. But I really like the scene where Andy gets split. He's doing that handstand and he's walking through, because he's going to stumble upon Jason, but you're not sure when or how. And it was such a creative kill, I thought, because they show him walking on his hands beforehand, so it's like a thing he does. And that shot, when they show Jason stand above him and then they film from like the bottom of the floor up, and even though they had to cut that scene from what it originally was, apparently it was horrific. I don't know, even as a child I felt that one. I mean, that was brutal. Yeah. And then they weren't done with him. He stuffed him up in the rafters, and you saw him again later, tripping all over his girlfriend. So, I mean, I think that was my favorite kill of that film. How about yours?
I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I'm going to have to say that one, and then, how he stuffed him. You got the blood dripping on the girlfriend, and then stabbing the girlfriend under the hammock, because it's like paying homage to part 1.
Yep,
with
absolutely.
It was Kevin Bacon getting killed that time, but I mean, you had the blood dripping on him. He was wondering what it was. He lays back to smoke a cigarette, and then, boom, dead.
Boom.
So that's like my 1A and 1B for those two. It just worked so well together.
They did, and you can pan across it, and you see his legs stand. I mean, I don't know. The whole build up to it was just great. He makes his way all the way into the shower. You think he's going to get it before then, and then he's fine, and then he comes back out, and bam. I don't think those films get a lot of credit for that, or at least when they came out, it seemed like everybody was talking, this is just, pornographic material being put on screen, and, no talent whatsoever involved. And it was like, man, there's some really amazing people working on these films, creative people who went on. I mean, Steve Miner, holy shit. I mean, that guy's done a lot of great films, and that's where he got his start. That's where he cut his teeth.
The special effects alone for these films are just incredible, especially way back then, because they didn't have, I'm not even talking CGI, but they just didn't have the technology and all the stuff we have now to do special effects. Back then in the 80s, like, they had to really do some stuff. And everybody loves the 80s for the special effects, the practical effects. Everybody loves it if you're a horror fan. And it's still my favorite era. It's probably my favorite era of horror, and it's just, to me, it's just done so well. And the budgets back then weren't probably not even half as big as they are now. The budgets then were just, I don't know what they were, but they weren't huge like they are now, and they still got to pull all that stuff off.
Yeah, I mean, the practical effects, and that's another thing I love about independent films, especially right now, mainly independent horror films, is so many of them are returning back to those days of practical effects, You have a lower budget, CGI, especially on a low budget, looks bad. Even on a high budget, if it's used too much, to me, it just feels fake. When you get some special effects in there, some practical effects in there, even if they're not, it's hard to live up to Tom Savini and Legends of the 80s, such as that. But I mean, people are getting there these days, and it's just so cool to see that happening again. Because I think I think you're right. That was one of the best things about these movies. It made it feel real. It looked, it was shot quick enough to where you couldn't see it was a dummy sometimes, and it just looked amazing.
It did. It looked great, and just even the blood looked good. That's one thing I really loved about it. Then with the practical effects is the blood, because CGI blood is just it's not the same.
Yeah,
You could tell it's CGI blood. I'm just like, come on, just
it's like a cartoon. Yeah,
yeah, just
gallons of blood. Let it go.
yeah. Spend a couple of dollars, get those gallons of blood, throw that CGI away. I understand it's needed for some parts in movies nowadays, which it works good in some movies. It's just like you said, if it's overused, it sucks.
Right, and really, a lot of the MPAA banned a lot of the scenes in these movies or made them cut down these scenes. A lot of it was due to how much blood was shown, because the blood looked so real that a lot of times they would say, too much blood here, too much blood flow, or even expression on the character's face looked too realistic, So it's like, okay, they did too great of an acting job there. I'm going to need you to cut that scene, But a lot of times it did. It had to do with the actual blood. And that's why in some films you'll see movies that change the blood to a different color or switch to black and white. I think Tarantino did that in Kill Bill to avoid. He still wanted that bloodshed, but to avoid like an X rating or type of thing. I think that's probably why the middle of that violent sequence with the fighting turned black and white all of a sudden, which was genius. But there's apparently with back to part 3 a unedited version out there on VHS only. It's a Dutch version, and of course it's pretty hard to track down and get your hands on, but apparently that is in existence and has all the scenes from part 3 completely uncut, which would be amazing.
Yes, that would amazing isn't the word. That would be like a dream come true to get your hands on that. But if you were to find it, you're probably gonna have to sell your house for it, and you'll end up divorced, living outside because your wife's gonna leave.
Yeah, exactly.
All for that movie.
We just need to make friends with somebody who has it.
There you go. That would probably be the better route. Instead of, hey, honey, I sold the house and the car and everything. Why? To get this.
Yeah, this VHS.
But it's worth it. Don't worry.
Yeah, you get to see Andy, Vera, Edna, and Chili all die the way they were supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. I asked you your favorite kill. What was your favorite scene in the movie? It doesn't necessarily have to be a kill.
I think that my favorite scene is the one I talked about earlier, where Chris goes out in the boat and falls asleep, and she wakes up. It's a calm, peaceful morning. Looks like everything's okay, and she looks up in that window, and just that look. He looks at her through the window, and then he grabs the window like he's trying to open it, and then comes running out the porch, and he turns his head and looks at her and just I mean, I think everything about that moment, I think that was the scariest part in the film and probably my favorite.
Okay. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, which it wasn't as action-packed as that or as breathtaking as that, I'll say, is when Shelly finally grew a pair. The store scene. Because through the whole movie, he's like putting himself down. He's a jokester. He's a prankster. Everybody's always yelling at him.
Yeah.
But, he knocks the bikes over on mistake. He's scared. Right. But then when he drives up, the guy, stops in front of him, smiles. So Shelly smiles. Then he punches the window, and Shelly's like, all right, he crossed the line. He crossed the line. Turns the car around.
I think Shelly was a good character,
Oh, yeah, I do too.
On the Crystal Lake documentary, he said that, people either say they really like Shelly. He said, but there's a lot of people that think I was the worst character in the franchise. And I'm thinking, this guy's basically one of us, man. He's a horror nerd. He's, he's just... It was hard not to feel for Shelly in his situation. Everybody feels awkward at some point in their life and looking for attention. And I mean, I thought he was a good character to have in there, especially with the fake deaths that he would do, and then kind of made his death a little bit more of, is he really dead or is he not really dead, at least for the characters. So I thought he was great to have in the movie.
I do too, honestly. Like he was really good for the movie, and then without him, there's no Jason Mask. So that's a very important. He was a very important character, maybe one of the most important characters in the whole franchise because of that.
Absolutely.
And
I mean, what an idea.
yeah, like you said, he's obviously a horror fan. He likes doing the pranks and the scary jokes and all that, which is cool. And
Hmm.
hey, it worked.
Did you know that they found Larry Zerner, who played Shelley? They found him on a corner passing out flyers to like a horror movie or something that he was helping promote. I don't know if it
Really?
was like a job or if it was just he liked the movie. I don't know, but the filmmakers saw him and approached him and thought he would make a good Shelley. And
That's
I
awesome.
agree. I thought he did a great job. I thought
Oh,
that he was
yeah.
perfect for that part.
I agree. I actually agree with you on that. I didn't know that. That's awesome right there. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine just being at a convention or something or whatever, doing something to help
Right.
promote horror, and they're like, hey, you'd be perfect for this role in the movie. You're gonna die, but okay, that's fine.
I think that would be every one of our dreams right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want
And
to
I guess
look over the script to see if you want to do the? No. You said horror. That's fine.
Yep, that's all I need to know. I'll be there. How are you going to kill me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But his death, you don't. It's an off-screen kill, obviously, but But I like how you were saying it. Is he joking?
Right.
Is he really dead? And then his body thumps and hits the floor, and she's like, okay, he's dead.
Yeah.
He's done.
And even us knowing that, okay, now we've seen Jason, we know he's out there, he's been killing people, but we still had that moment where we're like, did you really get him, or is he dead? And I remember seeing the TV version when I was a kid, and they had cut out that part where they showed Shelley with his neck cut.
Yep.
And I don't know if that version still exists, but the last time you saw Shelley in the film was when he was putting the poker in the fireplace and he turns around. It looks like somebody's behind him. And so for the longest time, I didn't know what happened to Shelley until I finally saw it on HBO or rented it or something like that and saw the scene where he actually had his neck split. And I thought, oh, okay, that's what happened to Shelley.
That was the one downfall as a kid, because I would still watch these movies over and over and over when they come on the USA Network, but
Yep.
they cut all the good stuff out. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
The whole point of me watching these movies, watch, boobs and blood, and you're taking out both of them.
You took them all out. And then they would cut integral pieces of the movie that, it's
Yep.
just, okay, we didn't know this character died at all because you cut that scene out.
You know what other characters I like in the Friday the 13th franchise is the crazy guys. Like the guy, I don't know his name from this one, from part 3, that's laying down. They almost run him over, and he has an eyeball in his hand. Him and Crazy Ralph.
Crazy Ralph.
Yeah, Crazy Ralph. And
I think Crazy Ralph was a favorite, and I think they continue that on with this one. And, and he provides, I'm not sure, I guess it's not the first 3D gag, but it's one of the earlier 3D gags where he holds that eyeball out. And I remember seeing this in 3D once and having that eyeball come out at the screen at you, which is pretty cool.
And
there's a lot of eyeballs in part 3.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't remember her name. She gets her eye shot out by Jason when she thinks it's Shelley.
Yep.
And she's calling him, saying, yeah, I dropped your wallet on accident. I'm sorry. And he's just standing there, and she's like, wait a minute, who are you? And right there, you would think, I need to run or something. She's just standing there, like, trying to figure it out.
Exactly. Exactly. And Rick gets his eyeball popped out near the end. And, I mean, another 3D gag, which they've actually said is kind of some more little foreshadowing earlier when that guy holds the eyeball out and says, I'm supposed to warn you with this. And then Rick ends up getting his eyeball popped out later. So
I like that.
Kind of interesting. Yeah.
I like that a lot, actually. I didn't even know that. And one thing that Jason did in this movie that I love when he does is throwing people through windows. I can never get enough of that. Either in a window or out of a window. That was such a great
scene in this one. Great shot.
It was.
Yeah, him coming after Chris. I mean, yeah, that was awesome.
And I laugh every single time that happens. Every single time that happens, I'm laughing. I think this started as a kid, too. I'm like, oh, wow. Maybe I jumped the very first time I seen it, but after that, I just laughed. Like, oh.
Yeah.
He means business.
That was another one I remember being cut on the cable version, was you didn't see Rick get his eye popped out. You only saw Jason throw him through the window, and he has like this cut on his neck. So I just assumed, I guess he got stabbed in the neck or something. Or maybe he's still alive if he just got thrown through the window, You didn't see his head get crushed and that eyeball go flying towards the screen. So
true. But it's still, that just shows you, though, like, with the horror, with this movie, like, even though all those scenes were cut out, you were still wanting to see the movie. Even say you never got a chance to rent the movie as a kid, you're still, anytime that comes, Jason's on, I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah,
And then when
exactly.
you finally get to see the movie with everything, you're just like, wow, almost speechless. Like, oh my goodness, this is
It's like
this.
nothing I'd ever seen before.
Yeah. And then you
Yeah,
gotta.
I think part four may have been the first like non-cable version I ever saw, and
Mhm.
that one was so gory and I mean, that just it was awesome. But I think that may have been the first one I saw without, because I remember watching it like on my aunt had HBO and Cinemax. She had all those channels, and
Okay.
so I went over there.
You
There was
got
a
to.
Friday on, but yeah, yeah. So good times for sure.
Oh yeah. I honestly can't even remember which one I've seen first as far as like the real version of it, because it's been
Uh-huh.
so long. But I do remember when the DVDs first came out, when it had the first, was it one through, actually it was one through Jason Goes to Hell, so 1 through 9. When
Hmm.
that first came out, the box set, my brother and I went to, what was it, FYE? Bought that box
Uh-huh.
set. I think it was like $80. I had $100 bill on me. It was like, boom, we watched that thing the whole week. That's all we did was watch those movies.
Back to back.
Yeah.
I know. Just start them over.
And I believe what we would do, like we got them on that Friday. It was a Friday we got them, and we just started that Friday night. Fell asleep. So whatever one you'd fall asleep on, you'd start that one over. But the next night, Saturday night, and finish them Sunday. It was like the summer. Finish them like Sunday night or whatever. But it was just, if anything
Yeah.
was being watched, it was that, between that and video games and stuff. But it was just like,
Right.
wow,
It's pretty incredible.
it
Pretty
really
incredible.
is. And I was,
And it's hard anymore to find movies that really have that impact on you. I mean, I know that we're older now and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But, it just seems like there was something about these particular films that, scared us enough but kept us intrigued at the same time, and just kind of live on forever. I think that's why they're still so popular.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest fan base, has got to be in the horror, and Friday the 13th is definitely a staple of that.
oh, definitely. And I feel, as far as the movies from back then, not just because of practical effects, I feel like it just sticks with us because you watched it as a kid. You have good memories of watching it with friends or family or whoever, and like every time you watch it, you kind of think of that, like, oh, I remember watching this with so and so, and this is what we did. We watched this whole weekend as kids,
Yeah.
and I even kind of, as much as I can, I stick to that tradition now. As far as when Friday the 13th comes,
Yep.
I'll either stream it or pull my Blu-rays out or my DVDs or whatever, and I'll watch it again. My wife will sit down and watch it with me. Same thing with like Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Any horror movie that has any horror movie franchise, I'll say, that has 4 or more movies or whatever.
Right.
We'll start with the first one and then just try to go through those. It could take us a week, whatever it takes. We'll just go through those and watch them. Hey, what do you want to do next? Okay, let's watch
Yeah.
this series now. And
We do that, on Friday the 13th, and my wife too. She's so used to it. She's like, which Friday are we watching today? And we'll watch as many as we can on Friday the 13th. But during October, I started doing this thing a while back on my Facebook page where it was like 31 days of October, of Halloween, and I would put up a scene from a movie that I watched that night. Like I made this, like I'm going to watch one horror film every night throughout October, and then I'll post a kind of a random scene up there and see how many of my friends can guess which movie it is or share their experience of seeing that type of movie.
That's
and
awesome.
So we do that same thing, man. We try to watch as many as we can, and Halloween's just October's just a fun time. But we always end it on Halloween with Halloween, of course, because
it makes sense.
the staple.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And we try to do that as far as watching them but then there's nights you get home from work, you're just too tired or this, that, and the third. It's tough, but I'm going to try again this year.
I cheat sometimes. I will watch like 2 on another day, because I couldn't get to 1 tonight, but but it's fun. It's a good way to unwind, and it's a fun way to engage.
Yeah, it is.
For other horror fans, and I'm connected with so many great people in the horror community recently because of these horror groups and the Cult Classic show and now your show. I mean, it's just the network is awesome, and you get to talk these movies with people on a daily basis. And
it really is, and it's such a friendly freaking community. Like, if you're outside of the horror community, you wouldn't think of it as like, hey, these people watch these crazy movies and they're so friendly, but everybody's so nice. Hey, you should check this movie out. Hey, I just see this movie. You should check it out.
Exactly.
And another funny thing with this genre is, I know for myself, I'll say, someone can say, I just seen one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to say, that can't be true. Let me check it out. And I'm like, oh, damn it, why did I watch this movie? or you really love it. And then you have I always throw this movie out there because I love it so much, and I don't know why. Thanksgiving. As soon as I heard about a movie with a killer turkey, I was like, I have to see this, and I seen it and I loved it, and it's just it's hilarious.
Well, that's the thing, you know. I mean, like, some people are like, "Oh, well, this sounds ridiculous," but to a horror fan, we're like, "Oh, I gotta see a killer turkey." You know,
Yeah.
I've got to see a snowman kill people. I mean,
Exactly.
I just have to.
Exactly. And like,
There is.
I don't fault people like me. When I started out with horror, my main thing was slashers. That's all I can really get my hands on. That's the most popular stuff. Now I'm starting to branch out more, but I don't fault those who just like the theater releases or the big name movies. You're a fan's a fan. That's cool and all, but I'm just like, I will say you do have to try to branch out just a little bit to see some of these lower budget movies, these B movies, because not all the time, but there's a lot of times that these B movies are way better than these box office hits. Just a better story. It might not look as good, but it's just a better story. Everything makes more sense in a sense, even though horror movies don't make any sense. Any sense. But it's just like, yeah, you know what? Try this movie out.
Well, and those are typically made by fans of the genre, you know.
Yeah.
I've got to connect with several of independent filmmakers recently and talk to them about their experiences and their motivations and things. And these are people that are, you know, totally fine with being in the horror genre because that's what they love and that's what they want to do. Whereas, you know, back in the day, a lot of people were like, well, no, I don't want to go on to do the next film because I don't want to be pigeonholed as somebody that's only a horror, you know. And it seems like this wave of filmmakers today in the horror industry are just like, pigeonhole me all you want. That's the genre I know. That's the genre I love. And you can tell they may have a small budget, but they put it to good use. They do as much as they can with it. And they seem to be they know what fans want to see. And they were there during the times that we were there. They love the movies that we love. And I think that's where a lot of these B movies come into play versus these studio movies that look better but don't have the imagination or the creativity or really the care. You know, it's just about making a buck.
True.
You know?
That's very true. I'd say between that and I feel, and this is no disrespect to the horror genre at all, but I feel that's the easiest genre to make an independent horror film on versus any other genre and where fans are going to gravitate towards it. Because I do feel with, I'll say with like say a Marvel type movie, you kind of need a studio backing to do those kind of movies, just because all the stuff that happens. Because with me, I'm not big in the comic books, but I always love the cartoons. So I'm like, what I see on the cartoon is what I want to see on the what I want to see on the live screen. I don't care. I know it's pretend, but that's what I need to see. But with a horror movie, it's like, okay, this works.
Right. Exactly. And there's some great ones out there that a lot of people don't know about, whether they don't, you know, see in the advertisements for them, or they just think, oh, well, this is a B-rated movie, you know, I'm not going to watch it. And there's some treasures out there.
There really is.
So all horror fans listening need to get involved with your horror groups and things like that, because you'll learn about a lot of stuff. There's always people out there that have a recommendation. A lot of these filmmakers themselves join these horror groups.
Yes, they do.
Talking about these films, and it's just awesome.
And they're very friendly. Like, they'll talk to you about it. I'd had did you watch the movie The Evil Down the Street? That's on Amazon Prime.
Oh yes, I've talked with Craig several times, and I listened to your episode that you guys did on that.
I had him on here. I'm gonna have him on again. Him and David and other people involved in that movie and other movies that they're gonna be doing. I had another guy on here named Chase Dudley. He has a movie coming out. He's shopping at the film festivals right now, but it's called Beast of the Fields. He has another movie out right now on Amazon Prime called Payday. Great guy. He loves horror and all that stuff too.
Write that one down.
Payday I did not see yet. I don't believe it's horror, but still it's just, something that he's done. And it's just so cool. Like, even though they're all indie artists, I just love how humble they are. Like, they'll come on the show and just shoot the shit for an hour. And I appreciate that. And I'm like, look, I tell them all the time, like, look, you come on here, we'll discuss your work, we'll discuss your project, we'll talk some random horror, and promote your stuff. Like, feel free to promote, because you coming on here is helping me out, getting your fans to listen to this, and I'm getting my listeners to, check your stuff out. So let's keep working together with that.
Exactly. And so many of the indie filmmakers out there are like that. I mean, they connect with their audience and they listen to their audience. I mean, at the same time, like, and none of them seem to come across as arrogant or too good or anything like that. And no matter how busy they are, they're posting updates, they're personally tagging you in something. I mean, it's a cool world out there. It's like our generation of horror fans have grown up and started making movies, and by any means necessary. And it's an exciting time for horror, I think.
It really is. And those type of movies, when I can afford to, I try to back them as much as I can.
Right.
Just because I'm like, and I always try to do. I know they have like the $10 shot. I always try to do the thing to get the Blu-ray because I'm like, I just want to add to my collection. I want to see this, and I love it.
Exactly. It's like I will buy the Blu-ray of it. We may as well put the money towards the production of it. What they're doing, and they're so cool in these things too because they really offer a lot of perks. I mean, some of them are even like, oh, here, $20 and your name's in the credits and you get the Blu-ray. I mean, it's really cool. A really cool thing. You get good stuff from it, and if you can help them out, that's awesome too. But even, I mean, for people that can't contribute, I mean, just sharing it on Facebook or writing a review about it on Amazon, I mean, it helps these filmmakers out greatly and gets people interested and gets their film viewed. And
it really does. It's honest. And like from that standpoint, as far as just a simple share, a simple like, share, rate, review, I get that 1,000,000% because I'm a podcaster now. So I'm like, we need the same exact thing as far as that goes because it helps. Helps you move up the charts, helps more people see you and recognize it. Like, okay, let me check this out. This is up here.
Right.
Number 9 million. Let me check this out. It went up 2 spots. Yeah, I got to listen to this podcast.
Absolutely.
But it's I love it. I love every bit of it. Now, have you ever been to any horror conventions?
You know what? I went to my first horror convention just a couple of weeks ago. I live in Oklahoma, and we had never had, until a couple of weeks ago, a horror-only convention.
Ooh.
We've had WizardCon, which may get 1 or 2 people that have been in a horror movie. Like that's getting ready to come up, and the big draw for it right now is Aquaman. Jason Momoa is going to be here. But the only guy you could consider horror is Cary Elwes from Saw and of course Princess Bride and a lot of those movies. But as far as all horror, we haven't had them in Oklahoma, and for whatever reason, I haven't driven out of state. I'm kind of hooked now, and we're planning to go to some in Texas in the near future. But we went to one recently, and it was all horror. They had 5 celebrities there. We got to meet Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp.
She's so freaking nice.
Oh, she is awesome. Yeah, we had a baby recently, and we took him with us, and he actually hung out with her for quite a bit. Like, we came into her booth, and they wanted to see him, and just sat there and talked with us. I mean, it was like they were so down to earth and so friendly. We got to meet Ed Neal from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He played the hitchhiker. He talked to us for like a half hour just about random stuff. It was so exciting. And then we met Ari Lehman, back to Friday the 13th series, Mr. First Jason. He was totally cool. And Edward Furlong was there. So it was a really cool experience. And I talked to the guys that put it on, and they said that it was very successful. It turned out better than they thought it was going to. So they are going to do it again next year, and they're hoping it becomes an annual thing that they can just grow.
That's awesome.
We just don't have that in Oklahoma, and we need it.
I agree. That's awesome. That's really cool. I've met every single one of those people you've mentioned. I've met except for Furlong. I haven't met him.
Yeah.
Ari, I met him a couple times. As a matter of fact, the first time I met him was up here in Albany, New York, at this con called Fanacon, and actually I have a picture right here. Me and my brother, we met this same con. We met Kevin Eastman, who did the Ninja Turtles, and then Ari. I don't know if you can really see it too well.
Oh, yeah. Man.
But this is from
That's an awesome picture. Where was this?
This was in upstate New York, Albany. It's called. Okay. It was a con they used to have called Fanacon. This was in 2013. Wow.
You guys get a lot of cons up there, I would imagine. Or
well, not
state.
New York State, yeah, they get a lot of cons. The one I usually go to, it's called Scaricon. Which is about 3 hours away, but such a great con. And the thing I was saying about Ari though is we get to his table, the con's about to end, we're talking to him, but he talked to us for about 20 minutes to a half hour. We each got the machetes. You seen us holding. We got the machetes signed. I think it was like $20 at the time for that. And then he was like, so we were getting ready to leave and all. He was like, you guys come back real quick. He was like, pick out a picture you want signed, no charge. So he let us each pick out a picture, and I believe he gave us like his he has the band, First Jason band. He gave us a CD signed, the picture signed, and then we got those signed, all for like 20, maybe $30. And I'm like, that was so cool. He was like, he's like, I can tell you guys are such huge fans. You guys stood here and talked to me for the last half hour, and we were talking like the Friday the 13th movies in general. I was like, I love these movies since I was a kid.
Right.
And he just seen the passion, which I was just like, it's just so cool to meet these people and see how
I think that's
humble
why
they
he's
are.
so loved. You know,
Yeah.
he was in Friday the 13th for a short period of time, but yet he's kind of synonymous with the series. You know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
People are excited to meet him. He does all these cons, and I think it's his personality. He's another one of those guys that will connect with you and talk with you, and he's a hard worker, man. When I talk, he did a con the day before and then played a gig with his band in that town the night of and was doing the same thing in Oklahoma. So, I mean,
awesome.
he's just out there kind of living it. And he was super, like you said, super nice and would just talk to you. And he didn't charge you an arm and a leg. You know, we went to Eddie Furlong's table and his stuff was quite pricey, you know, and it was just kind of, I don't know. Ari was super cool. Ed Neal was super cool too.
Yep.
He was one of those guys that was like, my agent tells me all the time I need to charge for selfies. He said, but I would never do that. I would never charge the people that pay my bills for a damn picture.
Yeah, which
So
I love that too. 'Cause I met him last year at a con. I didn't get his autograph because I was trying to save money for certain things I wanted to get, autographs I wanted to get. But I did get to take a picture with him because my good friend got an autograph of him. I think I took the picture for him. He's like, hey, you want a picture too? I was like, sure. If you don't, he's like, yeah, come on. And I love how they're like that though with some, because it's just, there's some I met. Who is it? I can't think of their damn names. They were in Scream. The two killers in Scream, Screech Ulrich and
Matthew Lillard.
those two. They were at Scaricon 2 years ago, and at one point, they were walking. They weren't like at their table. They were walking around somewhere. And my brother was going to say hi to him, and he's like, "Hey, if you want to talk to me, come to my table." Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. And another time, somebody else in a horror group was saying how, I don't know if it was at this con or another con, but I guess one of those two, there was a VIP party going on. People were, hey, can I take a picture with you and have a drink? Da, da, da. No, but you can come to my table tomorrow and pay $80 for my autograph and a picture. I'm just like, that turns people off. And like, just with that attitude alone, like I'm not gonna knock Scream, but I was never a big, huge Scream fan to begin with. And I'm like, I'm not paying $80 for your. I think it was like $60 for the autograph and an extra $20 with picture. So $80. No, you're not worth it. Kane
Especially
Hodder,
with this attitude, man.
yeah, Kane Hodder. I'll pay $80 for a Kane Hodder attitude and or picture and selfie, but for you, no.
But as I understand, he makes it an experience too. It's like a personal thing.
Kane, yes.
I haven't got to meet him, but I've heard that he's just so grateful and nice to his fans and will pretty much do anything. He'll choke you. Whatever you want.
I actually got to meet Kane, and I'm so happy. I hope I get to meet him again, but I met him at a con in New Jersey called Monster Mania, and I think it was my wife. Just me and my wife went. No, me and my wife and the kids went. My brother couldn't make it. His son was just born maybe like a month or two beforehand. It was his first child, so he couldn't come.
Gotcha.
But he gave us money to get some autographs for him. So I'm in the line. This is funny. I'm in the line waiting to get Kane's autographs. I'm talking to my brother, like, hey, so what do you want? Do you want a machete? Do you want a picture? He's like, yeah, I want a machete too. So we each got machetes. I'm like, okay. He texted me. I don't know if he texted me or called me. He was like, I don't know what I want him to say on the machete. I was like, he had no lines. What are you even talking about? He was like, oh yeah.
That's hilarious.
So then, what else happened on that? Then I get up to the front of the line. Finally, there's like nobody behind me really, and Bam Margera. This it sounds like I'm making it up, but I'm not. Bam Margera walks in from the outside, and Kane sees him, and he's like, hey. He's like, can you please give me like 2 minutes? I'm going to go over there and choke Bam. I promise you I'll be right back. And I was like, go ahead. So he goes over there and does it. My wife, I actually just shared the picture in the group, from that con. Pictures in the group from that con the other day. He goes over there, chokes Bam. My wife gets a picture of it. And he comes back, talks to me for a few minutes or whatever, signs my autographs. And hey, I get a picture of him choking me. And I was like, I was so freaking happy.
Wow.
He's so cool, so nice. And
I want to meet him.
Another funny thing with Kane is so I had to use the bathroom. This is later in the day. I'm in the stall, going number 2, whatever. And I don't know. Kane Hodder comes in the bathroom. I only know this because he goes to the urinal. I don't know if he's really standing by the guy or not. But he was like, "Hey, nice cock," and I lost my. I'm in the stall just laughing my ass off. I'm like, "Wow!"
Oh my god. That...
And like you know Kane Hodder's voice, so you know it was him. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I was laughing so hard.
That's hilarious,
And
man.
that was one of those. I could not keep like. As soon as I got out the bat, I called my brother, told him about it. He was dying. I was like, I can't keep this to myself.
No, this has got to shared. Yeah, that is so cool, man.
But just like I love how I'll say 99.9% of the time when you go see these people at these cons and meet them, they're so nice, they're so down to earth, they're so humble,
Yeah,
and they thank us. I thank them as well because I'm like, look, because they say if it wasn't for you fans, we wouldn't be where we're at. But I'm like, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't even be at this con. Like there would be no horror.
yeah.
I don't know what I would
Yeah.
be doing right now.
It's a give and take.
It really
You know?
is, and it's definitely one of those experiences. I feel like, and this goes out to everybody who's listening to this episode. When it's out, if you can financially afford to go to a con and you really want to go, definitely go. It's one of the best
Right.
experiences you'll ever have as a horror fan. It's like adults in a candy store. It's just
It is.
you don't know what piece of candy you want to grab first. You're all over the place. Every single time I go, I'm all over. I'm like, okay, I got to get this autograph. I got to get this autograph. Oh wow, I want to get this figure. I want to get this. And
Yeah,
you end up broke,
Yeah.
but it's worth it.
I'm hooked. The one we went to was, it was the first one, so it was pretty small. We went
Mm-hmm.
through it fairly quickly, and there was about 5 celebrity guests there, but completely hooked. I mean, it was just a good time. I felt like I was in my element.
Yes.
It's like good camaraderie, and the people that are working the vendor booths, they're eager to talk horror with you, and it's just a great experience. So now I'm like, well, I can't just wait once a year for this one. Now I need to go check out some of the big ones, like Texas Frightmare is one I'm looking at.
I heard that was
trying to do
good.
next year. It's in Dallas, which is about a little under 5 hours away from me, so definitely worth the drive for sure.
I'm guessing that would be a weekend trip, right?
Yes,
Yeah, see,
absolutely.
you have to. Again, that's another thing. If you can financially afford it, if you can go to the con for a weekend, one of these bigger cons, do it. Just do
Yeah.
it. Put some
Just
money
do it.
aside and just it's so fun.
It's so cool, man. Yeah, I loved it. I can't wait to do another one.
I can't wait. I have one coming up. The one I was telling you about, ScareCon. It's coming up again in October, and my brother's flying out from Colorado to go. My wife's going, and I'm bringing I brought the podcast there last year. I'm bringing the podcast again this year, getting
Awesome.
the table and all that. And the cool thing with that con is, for the podcasters, they'll give you a table and 2 chairs free, which is great.
Okay.
So I just
wow,
have
that's
to.
amazing.
The only thing I have to pay for is like an extra chair or 2, and extra media passes. Like I gotta get my brother a media pass and that kind of stuff, and pay for power. The power was like $60, which isn't bad. It's $60 for the weekend. Media pass, $25 for the weekend. I think the chairs are like $10 a piece for the weekend, and that's really not bad at all. I'm like, yes, I'm going. But they love podcasters going there because they know, one, we're doing this for the horror con, we're promoting the con
Right.
and all that for them, and then just going there. They even have a podcast awards that they just started back in June. They have, which is out in Massachusetts, the same con. They have one in June and one in October. The June one, they have podcast awards now, which I was nominated for 2 or 3. Which
Oh
is great.
man, congrats.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
And then the October one is Film Fest, which I just learned this year. So I'm like, this is awesome. So any people I have that have been in indie films or do indie films, I let them know. I'm like, hey, shoot this guy an email. They have a Film Fest in October. I don't know how soon or how late. Like, I don't know anything about the whole Film Fest scene as far as sending movies in, but hey, this is who you can send it to when
Yeah.
you're ready.
And
But
see, it's that kind of community right there that is just, it's what makes this genre great, I mean, the fact that you've got these filmmakers that are connecting with their audience, And so you got podcasters who are fans of their films and want to help them out, and everybody's just, the connection just continues to grow, and it helps everyone involved, and overall it helps the genre out, helps it thrive and stay alive. I mean, that's what I love, aside from all the films, is just the community that they bring, and I think it's in a really good place nowadays as well.
I'll say this. the world could learn a lot from us horror fans as far as getting along and being nice.
Right?
Like, if you just take a page out of our books as far as just as simple as helping each other out with getting certain things out there so people can see
Yeah.
it and watch it and all that, and start from there and go on to top. We're not. There's some movies that some of us may love and hate, but that's perfectly
Right.
fine. That is perfectly fine.
It's what makes us people.
Yeah. But I guess we can get to wrapping it up though, man. This was a fun time.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Before we get it done though, I'll ask you, out of 1 to 10 Jason masks, what would you give Friday the 13th Part 3? How many masks?
Man, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 10. Again, it's just it's a staple of my horror upbringing. It's it is always the one I go back to. I'll watch Part 7 or I'll watch Part 6 or any of the first 7 and go, oh man, this might be my favorite. And then I'll watch Part 3 again and go, no, this is still. And I'm sure the nostalgia, it being my first experience with Jason, probably has a lot to do with that. But man, yeah, I just love it.
I get it, man. Trust me. And I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay.
Great movie, love it overall, and it's one of those movies, again, like you're saying, I can watch it over and over and over, the franchise in general, over and over and over, and never get tired of it. And in my opinion, I don't know, I have to rewatch them again. I don't know if there's any perfect 10s in my opinion in this franchise. I have rated other horror movies 10s, but I would watch this franchise over damn near any movie that's out there.
Right.
As crazy as that sounds, like, I tell people all the time, like, the way I rate movies, it's like no other movie exists but this movie. So I'm just kind of rating on my experience and like just how I feel the movie is. There's some movies I can rate like this. I rated it an 8. I think I gave Jaws a 10, but I like this movie way better than I like Jaws. But Jaws was just, it was damn near perfect.
Yeah, if I broke it down in a critical sense, I could, and that's always, it's funny because I write film reviews for newer films for the Cult Classic Horror Show, and it's hard to be a critic when you love the genre so much and you find something that you love about almost every single movie you watch. I mean, the craziest, most ridiculous movie ever, I could say, yeah, but you know what? There's this scene or there's this character or there's this. I got to give it a whole bunch for this, so. I get you. I get it. It gets in your blood.
It really does. It really does. But yeah, man, thanks again for coming on the show. And I definitely want to have you on again as a guest in the future.
I'd love to, man.
I
just love talking horror. This is my first podcast, by the way, that I've been a guest on. So,
really?
So you will be my favorite Friday the 13th movie because it's also my first podcast I've ever done.
Awesome.
So. I appreciate it.
Well,
if you don't mind, I have a few shout-outs.
Oh, yeah. I was just about to say, go ahead and do some plugs and shout-outs.
Yeah, I appreciate it. First of all, my wife, Sheila, who doesn't typically work on the weekends, had to go into work this morning but rushed home so that I wouldn't be late to get on my call with you and do this podcast. She's a big supporter of all the money and all the time I spent on the horror genre. My sister Jacqueline as well, who's kind of my movie partner, and then my horror brothers, man, you know most of them by now, but Lance Wagner and Lance Dale, David Martin, Damon Williams. These guys, we connected in a horror group, and we stay in contact. We talk daily about this stuff. It's just some great friends. None of us have met in person yet, but we've had this year-long friendship, and you can feel that bond there through all these things we love. Also, my friend Cliff Morton, whose birthday is today, and also David Martin's birthday is today, too. So I want to wish them both a very happy birthday. And then all the guys at the Cult Classic Horror Show, the Blood Brothers, Rob, Carmelo, those guys are awesome and very supportive of everybody in their group and all the efforts on their own as well. Good community. And then as far as just mentions, speaking of Cult Classic Horror, they do have a movie coming out called She Walks the Woods. They ended a very successful Kickstarter campaign. You can still contribute to, still get some cool stuff too.
Oh, cool.
And they'll be doing their premiere pretty soon. If you look them up, you can find all the information. Again, that's She Walks the Woods. And also there's a film coming out called Normal Terror, which is a Sacrificial Pawn production. That movie, they're filming 2 of them together and going to release them. I can tell you that movie is going to be insane. I think it's going to be a horror lover, especially a gore lover's wet dream. I mean, I just can't wait for that. So, yeah, you can check all that out, of course, online as well, and like and plug the show. And again, I just want to thank you for having me on and for being so open with the community. And I heard you saying, if you want to come talk horror, just let me know. And that's always an exciting thing to do.
Well, I just, you know what it is, too, with that? I originally started this podcast. Well, my wife got me the equipment I needed, and she was like, when are you going to start? When are you going to start? And I was just saying, at first I recorded with my brothers, my cousins, and just, close friends. But, everybody has families, so everybody can't record all the time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to have random guests on here all the time. And it just became a thing. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep doing it. And if people want to come on again, keep coming on. We'll keep breaking down movies or just talking whatever's going on in the horror community. And go from there. But I really appreciate, I'm glad you came on. I really appreciate you coming on because, hey, it was a great time. I really appreciate everybody else that comes on, that listens, and definitely shout out to everybody who you just said a shout out to and happy birthday. Check out all that stuff he just mentioned. I have a bad memory, so I can't remember everything. So check out all the stuff he just mentioned. And just, again, anybody wants to come on the show, shoot me an email, horrorwithsir.sturdy@gmail.com. Again, it's horrorwithsir.sturdy@gmail.com. And again, I'm on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, all the platforms you can listen to podcasts on, Twitch. My Facebook page and group is horrorwithsir.sturdy. You can find me on there. And again, don't be shy. Shoot me an email. And if you want to come on the show, let me know. And as always, I'll see you in your nightmare.